All right, so we're back on page 21 of your packet. Still have page 11 around of your ESRT because we're going to be using both of them. You should have already finished this table and gone over it, and you should have already finished this table and gone over it. If you are stuck or weren't here when these were done, you need to figure out how to get these ones done, whether you ask me or the substitute or Mr. D. We gotta get those ones understanding before you move on, because they are gonna get progressively harder as we go through the week. So I like to refer to these top two tables as the easy ones. So we're gonna get a little bit trickier now. So we're gonna read these directions. It says, determine the difference in arrival between the P and S waves using the chart. So now, according to these charts, we know how far away the earthquake was. It was 8,000 kilometers. We now are going to be determining the difference in arrival time. So that means we know when the P wave gets there, we feel the earth shaking, and we want to know how many more minutes until the S wave gets there. And we can do this using the distance to the epicenter and your ESRT. Now, there are a set of 4 steps that you need to follow, and you can either get those from here or go through the PowerPoint. Either one works. But if we just use this for right now, step 1, you can fill it in. Find the distance on the bottom of the chart. And by chart, I mean your ESRT page 11. Step 2, place the scrap paper vertically for that distance. Step 3, mark the scrap paper where the P and S waves touch it. Step 4, and this one's a little weird until you practice it, but it's not as confusing as it sounds. Move the paper to the left side of the chart. Place the mark for the P wave on the 0 and read the time using the S wave marks. So go ahead and pause this and write down those 4 steps, and now we're going to practice them. What you're going to need is a piece of scrap paper. Now, I do have a whole bunch of them cut up over there in the green bin, so if you haven't already gotten one, go grab one now. I mean, there's nothing fancy about my scrap paper. I just cut up a bunch of like old, so this was a bubble sheet nobody used. So there's nothing fancy. You can use any piece of scrap paper you own, including like your math homework, or even this packet will work, because we're just going to be using the scrap paper on your ESRT page 11. So what we're going to do is go through those 4 steps, and we're going to go ahead and do the first example here that's in your notes on page 21. So determine the difference in arrival time for each of the following. So we're going to start with 8,000 kilometers. Now we go through the steps. Step 1, find the distance on the bottom of the chart. So literally step 1 is point to the number. So there's 8,000. Step 2 is take your scrap paper and place it vertically for that distance. Now here's a trick. You got to make sure your paper is completely straight. So you want it really completely straight up and down that 8,000 line. Step 3, mark where the P waves touch the scrap paper. A couple of hints I'd like you, so what I mean by that is there's where the P wave would touch the line. I'm going to just label that P wave, and here's where the S wave would touch that line. Now notice I made horizontal lines. I did not follow the line of the P wave and the S wave up. I just made those 2 little marks. So I marked those on the scrap paper, not on the reference table. I don't care. I mean, if you wrote on there, it's not a big deal, but we need those 2 marks on the scrap paper. Now, step 4, which sounded a little weird to begin with. It said move the paper to the left side of the chart. Place the mark for the P wave on the 0. So move that P wave down to the 0. And now you can see the final part. It says read the time using the S wave mark. So with this on the 0, bring this right there, and you can see that we're 1 line above the 9, which is 9 minutes and 20 seconds. You've now determined the difference between when the P wave gets there and when the S wave gets there. 9 minutes and 20 seconds in between the P wave and the S wave. Okay, stop there for now and go ahead and practice the rest of them.